Kia ora, welcome to this video on unit conversion. Here we're going to be covering some stuff on clearly how to convert units from one unit to another, millimeters to inches and so on and so forth. And we're going to be mostly in this video doing one-step problems. And we'll be starting with units of length. So if we're going to be using conversion ratios, we're going to need to know what some of those are first. So some of you might know that 1 inch is equal to 25.4 millimeters. So inch is a unit of imperial and millimeters is metric, and that's how it goes. So we're going to be converting from imperial to metric, and I'm going to say, right, I would like to convert 3 inches into millimeters. Right, and how do we do that? We're going to be using our ratios. So to start off with, if we're going to be solving it with ratios, I'd like to change the question into ratios. So we'll go 3 inches here. So we've got one lot of 3 inches. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to times that by our handy dandy little ratio over here. The question is, which one do we know is going to go on the top or which one's going to go onto the bottom? A lot of these things we learn by rule or by using just gut instinct, but it helps to know how this works so that when we get into some slightly larger problems which get hairier and more confusing, we know how to do this. So so we've got 3 inches, which is our problem, and we want to times that by our ratio, and we want to put either inches on the top or the bottom. The reason we know which one to do is because we know which one we're wanting to cancel out, and we're wanting to cancel out inches to end up with millimeters. So basically, you always want the thing that you're cancelling out to be on the opposite side, because if you're dividing by something, you cancel that out. If you have 3 and you divide it by 3, you always get 1. If you divide anything by 3, if you divide anything by itself, you always come back to 1. If you times anything by itself, you always get back to 1. So what all of that means and what all of that comes to is if I have 3 inches at the bottom, I put the inches, if I have inches at the top, I put inches at the bottom, and our ratio says that 1 inch is equal to not 2.5. Get rid of that little point and everything else. I did it again. Another point. Just ignore that. 25.4 millimeters. Okay. So what we have is we have a ratio that we're timesing it by itself, and this can get a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rewrite that over here. And what that looks like is just ignoring the units for the moment, we're just going to work with the numbers. So that looks like 3 over there divided by 1 times 25.4 divided by 1 will give us our answer. And that's a really long-winded way of writing it, and it's got a number of things in there that are irrelevant, because just like when you divide things by them and they always go back to, they counter each other out, if you divide something by 1, you're always left with the same number that you started with. So if you divide 3 by 1, you're always left with 3. If you times 3 by 1, you're always left with 3. So what that means is that section there and that section are completely irrelevant. So we can just get rid of the ones altogether, and we can say 3 times 3 times 25.4 gives us our answer. All right, and 3 times 25.4 is 76.2, and now we're left with units because we always want to write units, and we're wanting it to convert to millimeters, but we don't know that yet, okay? So we've got all this calculation that we've just done through here. What we do know is that because we've divided inches by itself, it's cancelled those out, which leaves us with all it can be. It's supposed to be millimeters, which leaves it as all it can be is our millimeters. All right, so what we're left with is 76.2 millimeters. Okay, so that's what we've got there. Yeah, that's how that works. I'm just going to do that again, and this time shall we do inches and pounds? Okay, sorry, kgs and pounds. Crikey. Right. So 1 kg is equal to 2.205 pounds. Okay. So we're going to pop that up there, and we're going to use that, and we're going to say, right, I want to convert pounds, so I want to convert 33 pounds into kgs. So again, just like before, we want to rewrite that question down here as a ratio. So we go 33 pounds as a ratio, and we want to times it by our ratio that we have up here using our conversion ratio. So pounds is on the top, which means that we want to cancel it out, so the pounds goes on the bottom. So we go 2.205 pounds, and kgs can then only go on the top. All right, and what that means is that we have the ones are irrelevant. Let's just change pen color for the kicks. Ones are irrelevant, and what that leaves us with is 33 divided by 2.205, and the pounds cancels out the pounds, and we are left with kgs. So that gives us 33 divided by 2.205. That gives us 14.96. Let's do it at 2 decimal places. And because we've cancelled out the pounds, that means we can only be kgs left, and we go kgs. So long story short, 33 pounds equals 14.96 kgs. In the next video, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to be doing it with a 3-step problem that is slightly more complex, converting Newton meters into inch pounds. Cool. Thank you very much.